Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Trending. If you head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code TRENDING, you get 10% off. It's Monday morning. I hope you had a great weekend. If this was a mainstream media broadcast, I'd be giving you a load of facts now that you already know, like the fact that it's Monday, the fact that it's whatever the time is, I haven't got a watch on. And I've always wondered why they tell you a bunch of stuff you already know. Like, you're watching ITV. It's like, I know, I'll put it on. I'm thinking it's because what's about to follow is going to be an absolute load of nonsense and lies, but they want to lure you in by telling you some facts that you already know to be true. It's a theory. Anyway, I hope you had a great weekend. LA's looking good this time of year, isn't it? Jeez Louise. Trump deploys National Guard to LA immigration riots after claiming state officials can't do their jobs. Well, in my experience, anyone really involved in government all over the world has an inability to do their job. It seems to be a prerequisite. President Donald Trump is deploying National Guard troops to Los Angeles after protests in response to immigration raids extended into a second day. California Governor Gavin Newsom, another clown, confirmed the White House is deploying 2,000 soldiers to the city after local police used tear gas, stun guns and riot shields to push back immigration protesters on Saturday. Nothing says land of the free like tear gas, stun guns and riot shields and just riots in general. Honestly, mate, the world's, it's Carnageville at the moment. The federal government is sowing chaos so they can have an excuse to escalate. Is that Gavin Newsom talking about problem, reaction, solution? I thought that was a conspiracy theory. That is not the way any civilized country behaves, he said. Neither does forcing people to get vaccinations that they don't want, Gavin. He described the deployment as purposely inflammatory, and I might have a bit of inflammation in my throat, and claimed it will only escalate tensions. Well, of course it will. It's probably meant to. Demonstrations began outside the Los Angeles Federal Building in the downtown area of LA on Friday after officials from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, carried out raids in the area. I'm going to have a sip of coffee because I don't know what I'm choking on. But I'm choking on something. Suddenly no one's talking about Palantir, are they? No one's talking about the Orwellian surveillance state and the database of all Americans and stuff. Because they tried to distract us from that story. I mean, I know the MAGA lot are explaining it away, but they'll explain anything away when it comes to Donald Trump. Let's have it right. They could come home and find Donald Trump in bed with their wife and they'd say he had to do it. He had no choice. But they tried to distract those people that actually would be like, what? Hang on, Donald Trump's trying to bring in a Palantir surveillance state, the same Palantir that's helping blow up kids in Gaza. So they need distracting. So they were chucked the fake Trump and Musk argument. Look over there. Look at those two rowing about nothing and tweeting stuff about each other and then having a phone call and then deleting the tweets. It's all very embarrassing, isn't it? Let's have it right. But now we've got this to distract us. And actually, not only have we got this to distract us, but it actually leads people to call for the same surveillance state and database and digital IDs and all that sort of stuff that on one hand they're trying to distract you from Palantir doing. And to give you evidence of that, they're already coming out and saying it. So Laura Loomer, she's a fake radical and an Israel firster, she tweeted the following. It's so predictable, it does my nut in, right? Time to deploy at Palantir Tech to Los Angeles to deal with the illegals. You know you love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. Oh, mate. The alternative media is actually just doing the mainstream media's job of old, isn't it? Like I said the other week, it's the mainstream media in a t-shirt. You create the problem, or you allow the problem to happen, or you poke things with a stick till they bite, and you create a problem. You get people wound up and angry and annoyed about it. What on earth's going on there? We need to do something about it. And then you go, oh, you want me to do something about it? Well, here's one I made earlier. So then you throw in a solution to the problem that you've created, and the solution that you throw in is something that you know, without the problem you created, they would never go for it. Oh, by the way, everyone, we're going to bring in, everyone's living, in harmony. It's wonderful. Right, what I want to do, I want to bring in a surveillance state so I know where you are, what you're doing at all times. No, No, we're doing great, guys. We don't need that. Okay, right. Well, here's a massive problem. In fact, here's another one and another one and another one. And then, yeah, we will have that now. Oh, will you? Honestly, so predictable. And talking about predictable, and it's evidence the fact that this isn't just an American thing. It's everywhere. It's all over Europe because it's meant to be all over the world. This is in the UK. Labour explores compulsory ID cards to curb what? Illegal migration. What, the illegal migration that you instigated? Mate, honestly. And the fact that the headline says, Labour explores. Just thinking about it, just popped into my head while I was eating a cream tea. I don't think it did. Your Führer, Tony Blair, who started the mass unfiltered immigration, by the way, at the level that it's at now. It was instigated by the Labour Party. He's been talking about digital IDs since he was in the freaking womb. Labour is exploring a new national universal digital ID card for every adult in the UK. Well, I'm an adult in the UK and I'm not having one. So you can knock one off it, mate. To tackle illegal migration, the illegal migration you instigated. The idea is being tentatively branded the Britcard. It's cool. It's like Britpop. It's like Oasis and Blur, man. It's a Britcard. And could be downloaded onto a smartphone in the shape of a free verifier app. Can I get my vaccination status on there as well on the Britcard? Oh, yeah, we can get that on there. Don't you worry about that, son. Plans for the digital ID were laid out in detail by the think tank. I love a think tank. Think tank is a way of saying we're a load of unelected people that actually run the government. Okay, we'll call it a think tank so that people don't catch on. This think tank is called Labour Together, the influential think tank that catapulted Starmer to the party leadership and was once run by his now Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, the same Morgan McSweeney that founded the Centre for Countering Digital Hate. It's a massive censorship group that basically attacks anyone that questions the narrative on anything. And they bait and switch. It doesn't matter what the narrative is. It could be climate change today. Oh, no, we'll attack people that are calling out net zero. Attack them. Oh, mate, there's a pandemic and some people are questioning the vaccines and the lockdowns and the masks and all that kind of stuff. Right. Is that Centre for Countering Digital Hate? Yeah, we need you now. You go and attack them. And they brought down Corbyn. They were part of that whole anti-Semitism crisis, which was absolute nonsense, manufactured rubbish. They were all part of that as well. So Morgan McSweeney, he set up the Centre for Countering Digital Hate. And he ran Labour Together that's now pushing for ID cards. And when the COVID pandemic and all that stuff was going on, the Centre for Countering Digital Hate, they pivoted at that point away from calling everyone an anti-Semite. They'd already destroyed Corbyn. That's fine. We've destroyed Corbyn and we've got our man, Chairman Starmer, in. So that's fine. We can forget about them now. Let's move to those that are talking about the COVID vaccine and the potential dangers. Let's call them the disinformation dozen. Oh, yeah. Remember that? That phrase, that term, was coined by the Centre for Countering Digital Hate, an organisation created by Morgan McSweeney, who then ran Labour Together, which is now pushing for ID cards. Honestly, what a little web of bastards. Now, what they need in terms of this problem reaction solution, same as we've had in the United States, create the riots, create the uproar, and let me make this point. I'm not cheering on the rioters. I'm not cheering on people setting fire to cars and looting shops and stuff. I think it's disgusting. What I'm saying is this stuff is allowed to happen, or there'll be agent provocateurs in there. In fact, there definitely will be, but it's allowed to happen. That's why when you had the riots, the George Floyd riots, there were massive pallets of bricks left on street corners for idiots to pick up and chuck into windows. Who delivered them? Certainly wasn't some 15-year-old kid with an emo tattoo that organised that, was it? And see, even some of those people with the George Floyd riots that were protesting, they were even saying, we turned up and suddenly all these bricks had been delivered. Yeah, because you were meant to chuck it, mate. And a lot of you fell for it. So they created the problem there with that. Now, with the UK, of course, they've created this huge problem with mass unfiltered immigration. It's changing the country completely because you've got large areas where people just don't integrate. A lot of people don't even speak English. They don't get on. They get chucked into hotels at ridiculous amounts of money, or they end up going into low-paid work, which then completely skews the job market, creates mass unemployment, creates dependency on the state. And who would want that? The state. They control you then, don't they? Now, what they needed in terms of ID cards is they need a certain demographic on side. Now, that demographic is generally on the right. Now, it's difficult talking about left and right because when it comes to actual political parties, it's a uni party. Left and right are two cheeks of the same arse. But when it comes to the grassroots, there is those that sort of identify as the right, some that identify on the left, although the Overton window has moved to such a point that you don't really know where you are. 15 years ago, I was a southern softy liberal lefty, southern softy lefty. Now I'm far right, but my opinion's not changed. You do you, hun. Do what you like as long as it doesn't negatively impact other people. I believe in freedom. I believe your rights end where mine begin and mine end where yours begin. I'm a libertarian in that sense, although I don't really like labels. But obviously the Overton window has moved to a point where I'm far right now. But anyway, you've got the right and you've got the left. Now, those that identify on the right are those generally that will rebel against ID cards, the surveillance state, digital ID, and all of that stuff. They overwhelmingly were the ones that stood up against the COVID tyranny. So you need them on side. Well, you're going to struggle with that. You're going to struggle to get them to agree with ID cards. But they're also against mass unfiltered immigration. And they also know the dangers of allowing thousands and thousands, it's over 1,000 a day now, of unvetted migrant men, let's have it right, men, fighting age men, who appear to be escaping war zones like France. But they seem to be escaping war zones apparently, but they've left the wife and kids in the war zone. Because that's what you do if you're a stand-up guy. You leave the wife and kid and the mother-in-law. Maybe some people would leave the mother-in-law, to be fair. But you leave the wife and kids and the mother-in-law in the war zone and you skip off on a dinghy. Because that's what you do, innit? So these people that are against the surveillance state are also against that. So you make that the excuse for that. And then what you do is then you watch people bait and switch. You watch people go from, I'm against ID cards, I'm against the surveillance state, I'm against all of this, China, digital ID, social credit system stuff. I'm against it. I'm against all of this. What about the fact that we could use all that to protect your kids and protect you and protect your family and everyone else from this mass unfiltered immigration that we've allowed and orchestrated and incentivized? You watch people bait and switch from, we don't want any of that, to, well, if you haven't got anything to hide, I don't see what the problem is. So predictable. It's so frustrating. Because you saw it through Rona, didn't you? They won't do that. They won't do that. You tinfoil hat grifter. Then within 5 minutes, it was, I don't have a problem with it. Do you have any opinions that are real? And can you stick to them, please? Do you have any principles? No, not really. Honestly, it's ridiculous. I'm going to have another sip of coffee because I'm choking. I don't know what's going on with me today. The other thing as well is it is just a stepping stone. So, you bring in the Britcard. Oh, that's cool. It's cool. It's got a Union Jack on it. It's all patriotic. Brilliant. You bring that in, and then you accompany that with the facial recognition that's being rolled out all across the United Kingdom at the moment. You bring in a digital currency, which is what they want to do anyway. And to be fair, they're trying to eradicate cash. So even if you're with a card, even if it's a fiat currency, if you're not using cash, it basically it works in the same way as a digital currency in the sense that if the computer says no, you can't have it. So you've got facial recognition, a digital currency, Britcard, ID cards, mate, game, set and match. Honestly, because then they control everything. They control where you are, where you can go, what you can buy, when you can buy it. They'll know where you are at any point. It's not reserved for unfiltered migrants. That's just the excuse, mate. That's what gets the jackboot in the door. Okay, Israel forces take control of Gaza aid boat carrying Greta Thunberg. Israeli forces have taken command of a vessel that tried to challenge the naval blockade of the Gaza Strip, with the boat and its crew of 12, including activist Greta Thunberg, now heading to a port in Israel, officials said this Sunday. Now, as I understand it, the boat was captured in international waters. I'm sure there'll be a public outcry across the world. The British-flagged yacht, Madeleine, which is operated by the pro-Palestinian Freedom Flotilla Coalition, was aiming to deliver a symbolic amount of aid to Gaza later on Monday and raise international awareness of the humanitarian crisis there. However, the boat was boarded in the early hours of Monday before it could reach shore, the FFC said on its Telegram account. The Israeli Foreign Ministry later confirmed that it was under Israeli control. The selfie yacht of the celebrities, so they just mock it. This is the Israeli ministry, just mock it. Yes, a selfie yacht of the celebrities is safely making its way to the shores of Israel. The passengers are expecting to return to their home countries. The ministry then said that it provided them with sandwiches and stuff, which is a lot more than they're providing the over 1 million starving children. Can you not deliver them some sandwiches? Now, I've got no skin in the game when it comes to Greta Thunberg and all the climate nonsense and how dare you and all that kind of stuff. But you know, every now and then the sun does shine on a dog's ass, and she's absolutely right on this. I actually imagine as well that her presence on the ship, and this was probably not an accident, her presence on the ship probably saved people's lives, to be honest. Because, I mean, just looking back to 2010, there was a Freedom Flotilla that was trying to break the siege and deliver aid to Gaza, and that was attacked by Israeli forces. They killed 9 aid workers. Nothing happened, because it never does, because you don't mess with the end-of-level boss. But yeah, the land, sea, and air blockade, they were trying to block that in 2010. Well, I thought this whole thing started on October 7th. Yeah, that's because you're an idiot. It's been nearly 20 years of a naval blockade, an air blockade, and obviously a land blockade. Now, lots of people are celebrating this. They don't like Greta, and I don't. I'm not a fan of Greta either and all the climate change nonsense. I'm not a fan of it at all. But this is where the tribal nonsense comes in. That even if someone you don't like does something good, like try and deliver aid to starving people, even if it's a symbolic amount, you still have to hate them for it, because your tribal nature is that, well, they're the enemy. Well, why not judge people on their individual actions? Yes, you're wrong on that. Yes, you're right on that. So I support you on that. I don't support you on that. It doesn't work like that with this whole tribal nonsense. And people are getting more tribal. It's bizarre. You got tens of thousands of children dead. Now, I'll be honest, I'm focusing on children, which means I'm probably part of the problem, because you hear this a lot. There's so many dead women and children. What about the men? And I'm not judging, because I do it. I've just done it. Where you focus on the children. Now, I understand focus on the children because there's an absolute innocence with children. They're kids. But you focus on women and children dead. Men being dead's a bad thing, right? But we don't focus on that. So you include that. I mean, we are talking an astronomical amount of human beings. Thousands, tens and tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of human beings dead. Over 1 million kids, so 2 million basically people, human beings, are starving. The whole place is destroyed, uninhabitable. Of course it is, because, you know, they need to rebuild it, don't they? As Israel. The world sits back and does nothing. Like, literally nothing. The fact that it's Greta Thunberg, crying out loud, who I swear doesn't age, getting on a boat to try and at least make a symbolic point. No one else is doing anything. British government's not sending anything. Well, it's sending military hardware and intelligence for the Israeli military, sending that. And obviously the Americans are sending weapons and billions and billions and billions of pounds of American taxpayer money. It's not sending anything to help starving human beings, starving children, 2 million of them. Couldn't care less. And in fact, the terrorist state, and I'm going to say that, I don't care what you call me, the terrorist state that's carrying out this genocide, and again, it is a genocide, don't care what you call me, instead of actually being called out for what it's doing, it claims to be the victim. Claims to be the victim. Always claims to be the victim, no matter what it does. And the fake alternative media and, you know, the moronic gaggle of Poundland Christians that seem to have appeared everywhere nowadays, they cheer it on. They cheer all of it on. And they'll be cheering on, and they are cheering on, and rejoicing at the fact that a boat carrying aid has been prevented from delivering it. Think about that. Even if you don't like Greta Thunberg, I'm not a fan myself, but you're at a point where you're going, yeah, look at that. Greta Thunberg, they were trying to deliver some aid. Ha! Stopped them. What is that? Genuinely, what is that as a mindset? It's ill. Genuinely, it's ill. It's not very Christian either, is it? Do you know what I mean? Well, you hear, what would Jesus have done? Well, let's pretend Jesus is a real character, and let's pretend he's here now. Hey, Jesus, how you doing, mate? You all right? Yeah, sound, yeah. Monday, innit? What would Jesus have done then? Genuine question. You got 1 million starving kids, many of them orphans, because the parents have been murdered by a rogue state that has no accountability for its actions. And in fact, he's bankrolled by you and me, the taxpayer. You got 1 million kids starving. Like I say, thousands upon thousands of them orphaned. And I've got a boat of aid here. What would Jesus have done? Only you can answer that. Honestly. But it's the tribal nonsense, like I said a few moments ago, that people are so sucked into my team, their team. So if someone does something bad, I can excuse it because they're on my team. So if Trump's bringing in Palantir, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's Trump. It's not a problem. But if Harris or Biden was bringing in Palantir, you'd be kicking off. And if Biden and Harris were calling to put troops on the street to quell protests, you'd be kicking off. But because Trump's doing it, it's fine. It's not a problem. And then on the other end of that, you've got Greta Thunberg, who you don't like because of all the net zero climate nonsense, which I understand. I agree with you. It's rubbish. Then she tries to do something good, but she's not on my team. And so because she's not on my team, I need to attack her, and I need to joke about her being shot and drowning in the sea and all the other jokes that you've seen from accounts like Lindsey Graham, who is an elected politician in the United States, saying, I hope they can swim. You have to despise that person's actions, even though those actions are good, because she's not on your team and you don't like her. Well, how are we ever going to improve anything then? How is the world ever going to get any better if you're set in that tribal nature where you go, I don't care what good the other team does. I'm not going to celebrate it, cheer it on, help it, support it because they're doing it. And I'm not going to call out anything bad or heinous that my team does because they're my team. So in fact, I'm going to either excuse it, ignore it, or support it. Well, nothing's going to ever get any better then. Ever. Do you know what I mean? We may as well just call it time now. Because this is the world that we're going to live in forever. Unless we can go, do you know what? Okay, I don't agree with you on that, and that, but I do agree with you on that, and I will support it. And okay, Donald Trump, I agree with your policies on that, and that, but I don't agree with that, and I will not support that. Same for Starmer and any other politician or whatever. Then suddenly you start to get to a point where bad things are called out on both sides and good things are supported on both sides. So in theory, fear of sounding somewhat oversimplistic, you're going to be getting more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. And that can only be a good thing, right? But at the moment, we're excusing the bad stuff, and we're calling out the good stuff. And the same the other way around. This isn't a right and left thing. It's the same across the board. Both sides do it massively. You have people on the left that will look at something good that Donald Trump has done, or something good that, I was going to say Kemi Baldock, the Tories, has done, but I don't think she's ever done anything, is she? And they will not support it, and they will call it out despite the fact that it's actually good. Both sides do it. And it's not helpful at all. Because we need genuine right and genuine left. We need them. At the moment, we don't have them. Certainly not at the top of the political sphere. It's a uni-party. It's a big amalgamation of meh, where they don't work for you, either party. But what we need the right and we need the left, because they can balance each other out, not cancel each other out, but balance each other out. Where you take a bit of that and a bit of that and a bit of that and a bit of that, and then you can hopefully get to a point in the current system where life is a little bit more bearable, life is a little bit more affordable, and people are helped if they're in need, and people are supported if they need support, and people are called out and prevented from doing things that are negative. We don't have that at the moment. We're too busy fighting against each other. And then when Greta, tries to deliver aid, albeit a symbolic amount, and is stopped by a military that's killing people for a laugh and starving people for a laugh, you support her being stopped. That's mad. That's literally mad. And I can't get my head around that. I can't. But then I'm not tribal. I'm not. So maybe I should try a dose of tribal so I can try and get into your mindset. But I don't get it. It blows my mind a little bit, to be honest. But there we go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. It's Monday morning. The week might get better. You never know. We have to live in hope, because without hope, we've got nothing. Head over to shop.iconic.com. Use the code trending. You get 10% off, and any money that comes, any profit that comes from Iconic Coffee. I think it's called Wake Up World. I don't know who came up with that, Jay probably. Any profits that come in from that go back into Iconic. Try and create more content for you. In fact, on Saturday, we've got a brand new documentary was released called Why the Middle East, which is my first attempt at directing. Got some really great people in it from all different areas, from media, from politics, from the military. And I basically asked them the question, why the Middle East? And I think it's a question that probably a lot of you at home have actually asked yourself as well. Why? I mean, I've been there. I've been to Israel. I played against Israel once in a beach soccer match. And it was Israel's first ever international beach soccer match, and I played in that game. So there you go. Look at me sat here now, calling them what I'm calling them. But yeah, I asked them the question, why the Middle East? I've been there. A lot of it is barren land, yet everyone's obsessed about it. And people are listening, they'll go, well, it's about oil. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe there's an element to that. But then we're supposed to be moving away from oil, aren't we, into renewables and all that stuff. Yet everyone's still focused on the Middle East. And I'm pretty sure that Richard the Lionheart wasn't going there to get oil for his Land Rover Discovery. So there's lots of different answers. And I hope you enjoy that. If you go to iconic.com, you can watch that, Why the Middle East. I'll be back tomorrow with my brother Jay. Until then, take care of yourselves. Just because the world's mad doesn't mean you have to be. See you later. In this documentary, we're going to speak to a wide range of experts from the worlds of politics, academia, the media, the military. And we're going to be asking them all one very simple question. Why the Middle East? Millions upon millions of lives lost in the pursuit for regional dominance. But why? Is the desire for control over the Middle East purely about location? Don't look down.
What is it about this land that meant as much to medieval crusaders as it did to those that wrote the project for the new American century 1,000 years later? All three Abrahamic faiths are said to have emerged from the Middle East. I mean, that's half the world's population, so it's not beyond the realms that religion would play a significant role in the desire for dominance. Or is that just a cover? So why the Middle East? I'll let you decide.